You do have foreigners who enter this country who do have access to welfare and benefits, and British people find that offensive and they find that unfair.
That's incorrect.
Well, they get housing.
That's incorrect.
They get housing.
Do not get housing.
They do get housing. Refugees don't get housing.
That's incorrect.
Are you saying refugees? Are you saying refugees?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. Have you ever noticed how the political establishment expects you to pay record high taxes, but calls you a bigot the exact second you ask where your money is actually going? It is exactly like paying for a premium gym membership, only to be told you aren't allowed to use the equipment. In this explosive LBC clash, watch Leila Cunningham completely dismantle a Labour MP's progressive excuses about the welfare state, mass migration, and the deliberate suppression of British wages. Hit subscribe, and let's watch the elite narrative collapse in real time.
Wrong. My understanding, I'm trying to think the last census, 2021?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was about 82% whites in the UK, about 18% BME. So this notion that, the UK has been taken over is frankly incorrect. And I think it's about how we recognise that in some parts of the country, we may have an issue in terms of illegal immigration, but actually we need to talk up the benefits of migration and talk about the benefits that many people from such different diverse backgrounds have brought to the country. I think about my own constituency where I could walk into a classroom, any one of our primary schools, you'll hear over 50 languages. Those children are contributing to UK life. They're enriching UK life. And I think we need to get away from this division and making out the othering of people who may look and sound different to us, and actually celebrate diversity in all its forms.
Because I think one of the points he was making is that I don't think I'm doing him a disservice here, but he was saying, well, they're costing the country a huge amount of money with this level of illegal migration. But it's interesting that you've said what you've said, because there are so few politicians from any party who ever explain any benefits of immigration at all.
You just have to look at whether it's our food, whether it's our music, our culture. St Thomas's Hospital is in my constituency. The great statue of the late Mary Seacole stands tall outside that hospital. If we were to take out, many politicians have had operations there. If we were to take out a number of people who've made the UK their home, this country would be far poorer. Not just in terms of economics, but the rich culture that they bring. And we talk about people who've come to make the UK their home as if they're sponging off the state. They pay their taxes. They are contributing. They want to be part of the UK. They don't all do. They are contributing and they want to be part of the UK, and we need to make sure we are celebrating that instead of this wrong and false narrative, which, frankly, Leila, is being pushed by reform. And it's causing big issues in places like London. And that's why I'm saying, Londoners will reject that division and hate because there's no place for it whatsoever.
You know what Londoners do reject is working very hard and giving half their money to the government and not getting anything in return. Public services are the worst they've ever been. Taxes are
in London, they're getting free school meals.
Are you going to interrupt me every time I speak? Taxes are the highest. They don't want, you don't get people out of poverty by giving government handouts. You get them out of poverty by giving them opportunity and allowing them
someone who had a lifelong disease,
and allowing them to
who could not work, who would have wanted to work, but she had a lifelong disease which stopped her from working. And she was on benefits.
And that's why we
I was a child that was on free school meals at school.
I'm not saying.
And I'm thankful. And now, as an adult, I'm paying my taxes so that other people in a similar situation that I went through as a childhood can now benefit from that.
And we have
what it's called. Yeah, it's called redistribution. It's called the broadest, the people with the broadest shoulders helping others.
The state
it's called helping people when they are down. The state, it's called having a safety net.
I mean, seriously.
Let Leila come back.
The state doesn't get to redistribute wealth. You should create wealth. You should help people create their own wealth and stand on their own 2 feet. What we have now,
people who have emigrated to this country are creating wealth in
since
the UK.
2008, we have had stagnant wages, but taxes have gone up, prices have gone up, rent has gone up. And the reason why we have stagnant wages is that we have imported foreign cheap labour, and the wages are so cheap that they cannot support themselves. And what you have is the British taxpayer is supporting those that have just arrived in the country because they cannot support themselves. And that is a government policy. you do have foreigners who enter this country who do have access to welfare and benefits, and British people find that offensive and they find that unfair. If I go to a different country, I cannot claim welfare. You know that refugees in some councils in London go to the top of the housing list.
Immigration are automatically
able
to claim benefits.
No, I said
that's incorrect.
Well, they get housing.
That's incorrect.
They get housing. They do get housing. Refugees don't get housing.
That's incorrect.
Are you saying refugees? Are you saying refugees?
You are saying
where are
that
they housed?
Benefits.
Where are they housed? Is housing not a benefit?
That's incorrect.
Is housing a benefit, Florence?
Yeah, because we should help people who are destitute.
So they do claim benefits, number one. They have legal aid should they commit a crime. That is all paid by the taxpayer and the British taxpayer, and we have too much.
You can't tar all immigrants with that brush.
I didn't say that. I didn't say all. I'm saying that we have. No, I'm saying that we've had mass migration.
You really have. And the problem is that if you paint all people... Well, we both heard you say it.
Obviously, listen. I said that we have too many immigrants coming in and that it is costing the taxpayer too much and we can no longer afford it. It is as simple as that. You want to argue with me or not, the facts are there. We've relied on foreign cheap
why
labour.
In the middle of all of that can you not bring yourself to say, but most immigrants actually do the right thing. They come here for the right reasons. Of course there are some that sponge off the state.
But I'm not saying coming here is not for the right reason. I don't blame that. My mum came here. She's an immigrant. But what I'm saying is you do have, whether it's the right reason or not, the fact of the matter is that the state cannot afford to pay for all the migrants that came in under the Tories.
I think it's time we heard from Tim.
I mean, this is where, frankly, reform. But the real issue has been we've had too much illegal immigration, and that really, really, quite rightly, pisses people off. And the failure...
I apologise on Tim's behalf for that word.
Miffs people terribly. And the last government should have been tougher. The Rwanda scheme was, frankly, the only legitimate type of scheme where you need a third country to displace them to, because you can't just stop them coming across the channel unless the French agree to it, and of course they won't. But when people see them coming across in small boats, mostly working age young men, who we then accommodate, be it in hotels or camps or houses, when we have a housing crisis in this country where they do qualify for various benefits and can be here for years and years because of the appeal process, people think, well, hold on, why are we paying for all of this? And that is a genuine grievance, and one that we should be able to discuss and debate.
30-second response, because we need to go to a break.
Problems on that
I've said my piece. Obviously, you don't agree with me. You ask the British people, they do think there's been too much legal immigration. Of course, illegal migration is a huge problem, and it flourished under the Tories and it's flourishing under Labour. We've had record amount of people, and the reason is that you both both your parties refuse to treat illegal immigrants as criminals when they arrive. It is illegal to enter our country.
We changed the law to make that expressively so. The 22 Act made it a criminal offence to come here in a small boat.
And do you know how many was prosecuted under your government for illegal immigration?
It had only just come in.
1%, because
it had only just come in. We changed the law to do that.
Who cares about the law? If the law's not implemented, who cares about it? You didn't have the political will to implement it. Only 1% of illegal migrants were prosecuted under that law.
We changed the law in 2022.
All performative to change the law, not
immediately reversed that.
What you just witnessed on LBC is the defining economic and cultural clash of the 2020s. When Sir Jim Ratcliffe, one of Britain's most prominent businessmen, stated in February 2026 that the UK was being colonised by mass immigration, the political elite immediately went into full meltdown. They demanded apologies, and as we saw in this debate, progressive politicians instantly resorted to their standard playbook, calling anyone who dares to question the demographic and economic shifts a bigot. But Reform UK's Leila Cunningham completely dismantled that narrative by forcing the debate back to brutal, undeniable economic reality. The progressive left loves to use academic buzzwords like diversity and redistribution to mask the devastating impact of their policies on the British working class. The establishment expects you to believe that importing millions of people is an absolute economic necessity. Let's look at the actual data. Between 2021 and 2023, the UK experienced historically unprecedented net migration, peaking at an astonishing 944,000 in a single year. Where the Office for National Statistics recently reported a sharp drop for the year ending December 2025, the structural damage to the country has already been done. Since the 2008 financial crisis, British workers have suffered through over 15 years of stagnant wages, skyrocketing rents, and public services that are completely collapsing under the sheer weight of unprecedented demand. As Cunningham rightly pointed out, mass migration provides endless cheap labor for massive corporations, while the British taxpayer is forced to subsidize the true cost through housing, healthcare, and the welfare state. The political establishment is essentially using your tax money to suppress your own wages. They lecture working-class citizens to cheerfully celebrate this arrangement, while elite politicians insulate themselves from the consequences in wealthy neighborhoods. The British public is completely exhausted by this elite gaslighting. They are tired of working harder just to pay for a system that actively undermines their standard of living. Thank you for watching Julian Discourse. If you refuse to let the establishment rewrite economic reality, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.